Welcome Marco van Kalleveen at the red sofa of DVZ at DVV Media Group on the Transport Logistic Fair. You are the CEO of DKV Mobility. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about your career?
Tobias, first, thanks for inviting me on this famous red sofa. It's a real honor to be here. A few words about my background. I spent all my career in transformational situations. I started my career in McKinsey, was there more than a decade working in the US and in Europe. Left there as a partner to go a couple of years in private equity in London in a company called Bain Capital. But the last decade plus, I've been actively transforming businesses in the mobility logistics space. My first stop was at TNT Express. I was member of the management board there and helped transform a large division, global division. After that, I was asked to join the management board of LeasePlan, the largest car leasing company in the world. And 4 years ago, I was asked to become CEO of DKV Mobility, and which has been a phenomenal, interesting period in the last 4 years.
So you've seen many different perspectives on logistics and mobility so far. Right now we arrived here at Transport Logistic Fair. What are your connections with this fair and what do you expect from this week here?
Our company has historically a strong presence at this fair. We're not too far from here. It's a great way to connect with many of our partners, with customers, with suppliers. And I think it's a pivotal moment. You see here so many people out of the industry coming together, connecting. And people really look forward to this event because it was 4 years ago, but it was the last time in person. And we all know because of the COVID reasons. So people look really much forward to this week to connect with many people.
So after all these global crises we've been going through for the last few years, what are your hopes for this fair?
Now, I think if you walk around, not surprisingly, you see a couple of themes. The first theme, I think, is sustainability. Transport needs to become more sustainable. But you see also digitalization, and that's more linked to efficiency, which indirect also have sustainability. And that's, I think, themes that this industry has to come together to start solving better and better.
So in mid-2023, where do you see transport logistics industry?
I think transport logistics is an extremely important part of what we do as a society here in Europe. A big part of our GDP is connected to transport. Everything we see here, the couch, everything has been transported. Now, what you see here is that the industry is moving. You see, for example, in the passenger car area, you see EV regulation coming, but also you see new technologies like hydrogen coming, for example, on the truck side. So you see many things are moving to make really, to transform this industry to the next level. And you see the elements of that when you walk around here.
What are, in your opinion, the biggest challenges for transport logistics industry?
Now, I think, as I said, transport will grow. So as transport is growing also as we grow our society. But to make it more sustainable is an interesting challenge. You need new technologies, new business models, new services. And as a company, we're investing heavily in that. But also if you look at the industry, you have so many parties that touch each other when you have to move something, that to make it more digitally connected and share information better and better and use that better, we can tap in so much potential to make this industry more efficient.
People say that driver shortage also is a huge challenge for the industry. What do you think that haulage companies can do to do better?
I think driver shortage is a symbol, a negative symbol. We need to make it attractive for people to drive. Now there are circumstances like a war on the border of Europe with Ukraine, but had an impact on that as well. But I think you need to think through how you make transport even more transparent. So companies can say, hey, I can prove that I adhere to good working circumstances. I really invest in my people and I can prove that. So I think the logic of proving that also with information and being transparent about it will help.
And as long as there still is driver shortage, what can transport companies do to compensate for it?
Now, if you look at the whole theme of efficiency, so what we try to do as DKV, we have a motto called "You drive, we care." And we provide all kind of services to make the life of a transport organization or dispatcher easier, more efficient, more faster. And I think therefore if you save efficiency, so you have less empty routes or more efficient routes, that should free up some capacity. So I think it's all these small pieces coming together to start solving the problem.
What would you say, what would you suggest, how can transport companies secure sufficient transport capacity?
To secure capacity, I think there's, again, you can put real capacity on the ground, so invest more in trucks, etc. But I think there's also much smarter usage of the capacity that's available. I think what you see again, also we're reinvesting in, for example, LIS is a great company here in Germany. It's also part of the DKV family of companies. And they do transport management on a digital level. So I think there is the optimization of the capacity. There's still a tremendous amount of headroom to use better the capacity that's there. And I think that's the first way, because that's also very sustainable.
What impact can digitalization make on this?
Yeah, I think digitalization is a bit of a big buzzword in the end, right? But for us, it starts with data. You need to have the right data. And it's real-time data in the transport industry. Where, what, where, how, etc. It's very detailed. Then you need to manage that data. And most of the data cuts across multiple parties in a transportation chain. So how you connect them. And then how you make that valuable insights. It doesn't help if you have a cockpit of 1,000 KPIs and you don't know what to do. You need to make sure it's manageable. And I think that will help in this industry. So get the right data across the different parties, but make it also accessible intelligently for people to use.
Judging from the data or your personal opinion, what do you think will be the future drive of heavy trucks?
The future driver?
The future drive, speaking about energy that empowers them.
It's fascinating. So we as DKV are a B2B platform. We connect thousands of suppliers with millions of users. And we're the biggest in Europe with that. We want to facilitate all kind of energy sources our customers need. And want to open up also new energy sources where they need to. What we see, and this is just a scenario, that particularly in transport, you will see for the next decade still a palette of different type of energy sources. From more traditional to hydrogen to electrical to other forms. And I think we need to facilitate that companies can use these different forms of energy. Will there be one winner? My personal opinion is we will have to see. We will see how the world evolves. We facilitate for our customers that they have the best access to that.
By what time would you expect a dominant technology to evolve?
It takes a longer time than most people think. You have an installed fleet. You have millions of transport companies in Europe. And it will take step by step by step. And it could also be that there's no one dominant new technology in the next 20, 30 years. But it will evolve. It will evolve. Society demands from the transport sector to make steps. Regulation is coming in. But it will take step by step. And I think it's less about what will be by when. I think it's more about what do we do today and start moving. We need to start improving and moving now.
And learning from energy crisis and looking into the future, how can we secure sufficient energy supply?
Very good question. Some of what we saw, for example, when this horrific war with Ukraine started, the oil supply was a bit disrupted in the world. But very quickly, after several months, the equilibrium in the world gets found. So the market forces work. You see now, for example, also gas was a very high price. I think yesterday in Handelsblad was shown as again at a lower level. So what you see is that the market forces will work. You see that countries and bigger companies are investing less on one independent source. We get more sources around the world feeding our energy needs. People will try to avoid dependency on one source, as we have seen, which is not good for a country or a company to have. So I think there will be more multiple sources that will be invested to secure the energy supply in Europe.
And this is a situation that can be facilitated by digitalization in a platform like DKV Mobility?
Yeah, I think, I'll give you an example. So as I said, we are this platform business. We often are already one of the largest hydrogen networks in Europe, or gas networks in Europe, or petrol gas networks. So people can easily, if they decide, we also have now one of the largest EV charging point networks in the world you can connect to. So if people decide, hey, I want to have an electrical car or an electrical truck, you can now access hundreds of thousands of points with our network across Europe. So you don't have to worry about, hey, I drive now from Germany to Austria, can I pay there, or to Italy? So we facilitate that it becomes easy for people to deal with all that complexity of all these different energy sources, but makes it easy for them to deal with.
So you bring a good message to this fair. What are you looking forward to the most when it starts off right now?
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think the positive dialogue with the people. You can see if you walk around, people have a positive attitude. There's changes in the air. You can see that. People position it all to the future, and we want to invest in this to the future. And I think that's a fascinating industry to be in at the moment.
So thank you very much for starting this off here right now. Thank you for being here, Marco van Kalleveen.
Thank you very much, Tobias.